I'm gonna get some flack for this one, but I don't know, it's fine. I already did a long-ass review on the first 4 seasons of Better Call Saul, but I knew that it would receive a lot of backlash if I got anyone to actually watch it who cared. So, like a giant fucking pussy, I hid it inside a larger video where I reviewed a bunch of different things that came out. Since they put Season 5 on Netflix, I have now watched Season 5 of Better Call Saul, and since the show is back in the public eye due to the final season starting and reaching about the halfway point, I figured now is my only opportunity to talk about it again before it ends. I haven't seen anything from Season 6. I'll watch it once it's all done, once it's all out there. I'll go ahead and link the video I did on Better Call Saul before. Its tone is a lot harsher on the show than I should probably take, but looking back, pretty much absolutely everything I said is still accurate. My entire analysis of the show carries over. I really don't have that much more to add, so I'll just be repeating myself a lot here, but even just starting Season 5, it's like, well, where are we at? Jimmy is a free man, nothing hanging over his head anymore. He is a free man with a law degree, a hardworking attitude, talent, a girlfriend who loves him, and who is also steadily employed. Any normal person with this set of circumstances should have no trouble getting their life on track and living a satisfied existence. I cannot wait to see how Jimmy's retarded fucking nonsensical inhuman choices manage to screw this up. I mean, the other thing is that Jimmy randomly gets pulled by Lalo to do a thing because of, and this is directly stated, his interaction with Tuco back in Season 1, Episode 2. So by that logic, I'm expected to believe that at this point in the story, Jimmy getting heavily involved in the cartel business, which is probably going to continue on for the rest of the story. This is what the main conflict is going to be, that his involvement in the cartel business is entirely predicated on this insanely unlikely contrived situation where he very randomly happened to get involved with Tuco while doing something completely different and just happened to go into his house and happened to be threatened by him. You know how astronomically unlikely and contrived that is? Not only that Jimmy happened to stumble on the cartel guy as a civilian, got involved in a violent situation as well, and they didn't try to hide their cartel affiliations from him. And that's somehow the excuse that they use for basically all of the shit, all of the actual serious shit he gets up to in Season 5 and probably 6 as well, is that one incredibly stupid encounter with Tuco. Think about how contrived that is. Like, actually think about it. This shit with Jimmy and Kim and Lalo, this has nothing to do with anything we've been watching for the last 4 seasons. This is purely due to the encounter with Tuco in episodes 1 and 2 of Season 1, and then, like, whichever episodes he was dealing with Nacho and the Kettlemans. Nothing else in literally the entire show has anything to do with what is currently going on or making Jimmy interact with the cartel. Nothing. They sought Jimmy out specifically purely from the shit that happened in Season 1, and just weird, like it's also just... Even accepting his interaction with Tuco, it's very bizarre that they would seek out this one guy that they don't even personally know and had one random interaction with that is just a civilian instead of, like, anyone else that actually works for their organization. Like, they seriously don't have anyone else to do this job? They just go and hire this random fucking lawyer? Sure. And right away, we get back into the shit, man. We get back into characters having no real problems in their lives and just making problems for themselves just to drag out the plot. The plot in question is, again, being driven by complete contrived circumstances and new happenstances, turning into big, stupid things, big, stupid conflicts. How many different plot points in Better Call Saul are completely circumstantial and come out of nowhere, huh? Let's just think about, like, Season 1 and 2 or whatever. Kettleman case. Randomly running into the skateboard grifters, randomly running into Tuco and Ignacio, randomly stumbling upon the Sandpiper Crossing massive fucking fraud case, getting a huge opportunity with Mesa Verde as a potential client, and a million other things I can't be fucked to remember that just come out of the blue and are not linked to anything. They just appear and then become major plot points. Season 5, we get straight back to the good shit. Characters just making problems for no fucking reason. Agonizingly on-the-nose writing, theming devoid of any real meaning because it presents itself like a character study, but the characters are all like dumb TV characters and they don't come across at all like real human people. As such, no one can possibly relate to them or take things from the show and apply it to their real lives because it's such inhuman nonsense. It really hampers the... Like, I think the show is supposed to have, like, weight to it. Like, it's supposed to have these shocking impacts and stuff. You know, you're supposed to consume it like, oh my god, holy shit, I can't believe he took it that far. I can't believe he made this choice. But it doesn't work like that. Because I can believe he took it that far because I know that the characters are stupid. I assume each character will do ridiculous, illogical things because I know they're badly written. I don't find any of the characters' choices justified in the first place. I know the only way the story will continue at all is if characters keep making problems for no reason. I know the show is just a never-ending loop of characters doing insane shit that they don't have to, just for the shock value of them doing the insane shit. Even though the shock value wears pretty thin when it's done over and 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 over like this. My default expectation in every scene is that there's like a sane thing that like a real human being would choose to do that makes sense, and then these characters will do like the opposite of that. Works every time. Like, I'm watching new scenes with characters and I'm just waiting for. Like, my active mental state is I'm just dreading, knowing that it'll eventually happen, just dreading the next part where a character will just make a problem for no reason. Every single moment, I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, is it here? Oh, is it here? Are they going to be a fucking retard here? Like I said in my original video, the show is like maybe 2% trying to justify why the characters make insanely stupid, destructive choices, and then 90% covering the fallout of those choices. Over and over, same shit, different day. It all blends together. It all feels like the same story, just retold over and over again. I love these shots where, like, the camera holds in a character's face for, like, 4 minutes straight with nothing else to keep me entertained, just a person's fucking blank facial expression. And it's, like, it's showing this, like, sour, kind of contemplative, morbid facial expression. Like, oh, there's no hope or meaning that the character can find in what's happening here. They're just kind of generically sad about it. And I love every one of those shots because that's the only expression any character ever has in the show. It's just the same expression over and over again. At a certain point, you have to stop and think, I get it. Things happen. They feel sad and guilty and unsure about it. Boo fucking who. I don't buy the character choices. I don't believe these characters' actions are well justified or believable for a real human being. And even if I did, I'd still feel like the show is just showing me slightly different versions of the same shit again and again. It gets boring, man. It's not adding more layers and nuances and more complexities to the existing characters or settings or themes or anything. Any elements it thinks it's adding are shallow and pretentious. Like I said, TV characters, not real people. They're motivated by what TV shows think humans are motivated by. That's why you have tons of scenes where some character randomly just prophetically describes with bizarre, inhuman accuracy the exact mental state of another character. Like in Season 5, Kim goes up to Mr. Acker. Acker's some bumfuck old boy who couldn't be fucked to even read the details of his own home contract. Literally just minutes after meeting this woman, Kim, describes with omnipotent, magical fucking accuracy exactly what we're supposed to perceive from the situation. Oh, you're the type of person who does charity work and good things to make yourself feel better by all the bad things you constantly do. This is so stupid, partly because it's bad dialogue, right? The show is so ham-fisted. It's too ham-fisted and bumbling to actually express this kind of stuff naturally, so they just have to force these random characters to narrate directly to the audience to explain what the characterization they're trying to go for is. It's also stupid because it's just TV characterization. It's completely inhuman. It's the kind of description of a person's morality that sounds prophetic and wise on paper, but is really just a bunch of made-up horseshit. Like a therapist, a philosopher, a doctor, no one would ever look at a real person and describe them this way. Like, oh, do a bunch of good things to make themselves feel better. All the guilt, all the wrong they bring into this world. Just dumb fucking TV writing. Anyone who says that they relate and resonate with this characterization is fucking lying. So yeah, it's not about the underlying mental health that would serve as the only remotely valid excuse for these insane choices made by every character, mostly Jimmy, but even if it was, it's a huge contrivance that so many of these people in this small area are afflicted by such severe mental health issues to do things that 99.99999999999999999% of the human race would never do ever or consider remotely rational. And all of these people that do this fucking ludicrous shit are all somehow in the same proximity as each other. Again, everything I said in my original video still holds up 100%. 99% of the world's population deal with very similar struggles, the exact same struggles. But those 99%, they make human choices. These TV characters do not. For you to accept that the characters make these decisions, you have to already be gullible enough to just accept anything that the story would tell you at face value. It negates the entire purpose of the show. The show isn't about how these characters arrived at their decisions, because the only way you'll accept them making these decisions is if you already are gullible enough to believe it. The show exists for no purpose. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. The show exists to just be a show. It exists to be watched. Every narrative purpose it could argue it has is circular reasoning. It all comes back to just making half-assed excuses to keep having more show. More conflicts that didn't need to be there. More shit to put on the screen to sell as a show. This show still has the most in-your-face, like, beating you over the head, on-the-nose symbolism you could possibly imagine in a TV show. Like, literally the show will, like a situation will unfold with, like, nothing else happening. And it'll spend, like, 30 goddamn seconds with the camera just, like, fixated on some object or something, and nothing else in the scene is happening. Fixated on some object that serves nothing but a painfully obvious symbolic purpose. How can anyone call something subtle if it's literally the only thing that's in a shot for minutes on end? Now, I mean, at the end of the day, all media exists to be watched, right? This show is... I don't even think it's a bad show. It's just incredibly annoying, you know? Like, this show is sometimes kind of entertaining, or at least, like, it holds your attention. You're not bored watching it. Some parts of it you're bored watching. Like, almost everything with Mike is painfully boring. And a lot of the parts of the show are just annoying. Like I said in the old video, it feels exactly the same like watching bad tropes in a soap opera. You know when you're watching a shitty trope play out, you know you're going to see some annoying miscommunication between characters that will waste a bunch of time and could have been completely avoided by anyone with common sense. You know you're going to see these kinds of tropes that they're about to happen. You just roll your eyes and groan. And that's like every 10 minutes watching Better Call Saul. Like, ugh, of course the characters are going to choose the stupidest option possible that's completely unnecessary and will drag out this stupid fucking conflict just to waste time. Of course the characters are just going to be whiny and mopey and fucking obnoxious. All the actions they take have, like, some explanation, quote-unquote. The problem, obviously, is that they're all incredibly weak explanations. Like I said, 99% of the people in the world have similar issues, and they do not do this kind of shit. Not even close. People have ego problems, money troubles, family problems, a tendency to reject authority, a mischievous approach to rejecting rules. But most people are real human beings. These characters are not. It is an insult to call these things good characters. The characters, Jimmy especially, are completely inhuman, especially by this point. Jimmy has lost all brain cells. Like, something is frying his brain every episode. That's what the real plot is about. It, like, becomes a sci-fi story. That'd make more sense. It's not just major choices. It's like literally every scene. His expressions, his rambling dialogue is completely unrelatable and impossible. Every scene, every new stupid little thing that has each character's panty in a bunch this time, it keeps proving to me again and again that there is no plan for the show, no greater meaning. It's just a bunch of shallow, slapped-together TV characterization conflicts glued together with unbelievable characters and pure contrivance. This is a show that has some pretty solid positives. It's got good editing and directing and cool shots and stuff and good acting. I mean, you know, good acting can't save horrible characters, but they really succeed at portraying these inhuman aliens, so yeah. This show has a lot of great positives, and it's fun enough to watch so long as you aren't looking at the boring fucking Mike scenes or a bunch of the other conflicts and side characters that are extremely uninteresting to look at. But the negatives of how obnoxious the tropes are and the character insanity is, it just grates on your nerves and wears you down. It's just, it's a show with too much blind confidence. It doesn't question itself. It doesn't self-criticize, self-scrutinize. It just fucking assumes that everything it comes up with is great content, believable content, that it doesn't need to rein itself in and sell itself. It's a show that cynically feels like it's made with an understanding that most audiences aren't critical enough to even care about the believability of events or actions. If they're given any half-assed explanation or excuse for something, they'll buy it. It knows that it has an existing fan base with rose-colored glasses that have way too high of an opinion of the creators. All of this really hurts the overall entertainment value of the series. Like, okay, Jimmy, by default, season 1 makes no sense as a character. He worked in the mailroom for 5 fucking years, put himself through a legitimate online school, passed the legitimate bar exam, through completely above-board means. The entire time, he was a stellar enough employee in the mailroom to get a friendly nickname from the owner of the firm that was genuinely considering to hire him, and yet I'm supposed to believe that, Jimmy, he just can't follow the rules. He's incapable of doing things above board. No, he's physically incapable of just not committing crimes. He just always falls into the urge to get what he wants by any means necessary. Sure. Fucking sure, TV show. He just can't help it. He can't help it. He has to do stupid shit. Sure. Real fucking believable, totally human behavior there. So, Jimmy becomes so insanely unlikable, especially as the series keeps going. Like, every casual scene, he's just a psychopath. Like, he has no social awareness for anything. He has no moral foundation all of a sudden. He has no self-control. He literally cannot be reasoned with. He can't even have real conversations with human beings anymore. He just keeps rambling like a fucking robot designed to be an evil asshole. Like, he just does things literally just because he can, because it makes his dick feel bigger. So, at best, it's a shallow repeat of Walter White, who is primarily motivated by his man-child ego issues. So as a character study in a drama, the show is laughable. Its characters are completely inhuman. The entire story is contrivance after contrivance. 90% of the plots are repetitive or needless and just serve to pass time. The unlikability of the cast really hurts this aspect too. Like, the show adamantly refuses to allow any of its characters to be cute and likable in any way. You can tell, like, a massive difference between, like, when Hank and Steve come in season 5, and the show has nothing to do with them except for fan service, but because it doesn't have some mopey, cynical, fucking stupid-ass thing to shove onto them, like it does with all the other characters, it's actually refreshing because these characters are likable and fun to watch, unlike everyone else in the show. The show lets them be cute. It doesn't just force obnoxious or frowny faces on them like everyone else. Even Lalo. I like Lalo. Probably the only character I could consistently stand in season 5. Other than Howard. I mean, Howard's fine. But even then, there were a number of scenes where I felt like he was about to do something cute that would make me like him more, and then he just does, once again, like, the same tired old shit. The show, like, is so upset, like, it thinks it just needs to beat you over the head over and over for you to understand anything. So it just tries to make him, like, dreary and grim like everyone else. Like, it would be any scene where he's, like, smiling and stuff, he's, like, acting friendly, acting kind of... And I was hoping that in at least some of these circumstances, he's actually having a cute scene. Like how Gus has cute, pleasant scenes in Breaking Bad until he becomes the big villain. But no. Almost like 90% of the time, it's just another scene of Lalo playing up his intimidation with his pretend friendliness. But he's not actually, like, in a good mood or anything, and it just makes me roll my eyes every time. Like, I get it. That's all you do. It's the same shit. I'm bored. This is obnoxious. Do something likable. Is this your entire life? You just intimidating your underlings in the most generic way possible? What do you even care about? What do you even like? Lalo has some cute scenes with Hector. Like, 2 or 3 cute scenes with Hector. So that's better than most of the cast, who seem like they only exist. Their entire life's purpose is just to whine and bitch and moan about their incredibly first world problems. So the cast is mostly unlikable and hurts the watchability and entertainment value of the show. The events you're watching have a wide range. Some of it is more interesting than other parts. Like, it is fun to watch how Jimmy will pull off a clever scam, how he'll exploit the system. So those parts are pretty good to watch, even if how we got there is through characters being unlikable and ridiculous. But then again, since all the characters are unlikable, you don't want to root for any of them. The last time I felt like I could totally support and have fun with anything happening was in Season 3. I don't support anyone anymore. The best thing for almost every single character in the entire show would just be to stop and just be a regular person. That would be in the best interest of everyone. Nacho is the only character who is currently stuck and needs to solve an actual conflict in order to move on with his life. Because they're threatening him and forcing him to continue. I don't care about anything that Gus is up to in this show. In Breaking Bad, I supported him and liked him because he was just a nice, logical guy who didn't take things personally. He had one major grudge, but that's about it. He literally told his own people in confidence that he doesn't believe fear to be an effective motivator, and he was right. When he relied on fear to intimidate Walter and Jesse, he started a war and he fucking died. Gus was a reasonable businessman, not a ruthless crime lord like everyone else. He understood that having pleasant public relations with everyone he did business with was in the best interest of a mutually beneficial dealings, which is just how normal business operates. He was a super nice, super polite guy almost all the time. He cared about shit. To Walter, to normal people in the public, to everyone. It was impressive how cordial and professional he was able to be. But as the show keeps going, he's just more and more of like another generic fucking ruthless crime boss in here. Like, he used to play it kind of loose. He let Walter go when Walt wanted to quit, more or less. I mean, he didn't use force or coercion to get what he wanted. He would play with people's emotions and flaws, but he wasn't like a forceful monster. In this show, he's weirdly unable to keep his cool. Like, he gets mad at Lyle, a normal employee, for no reason in one episode of Season 5. He just generally seems like he's much less in control of his emotions. He doesn't have the same approach to business or etiquette that he does in Breaking Bad. And I don't care if any of these are, like, intentional or showing, like, the path to him getting to Breaking Bad. As I already talked about in the original video, like, that kind of contrived purpose of writing a prequel is one of the worst ideas you can possibly have, because it just guarantees that your writing will be contrived and stupid. But I'm not saying they aren't allowed to just fundamentally change his character for the spin-off either. Obviously, this version of Jimmy has nothing to do with Saul and Breaking Bad. They are completely different characters with no commonalities, and it is impossible that this version of Jimmy could possibly become the Saul that we knew from Breaking Bad. But this version of Gus is much less likable and cool, and I also find his motivations more boring and stupid, like everyone else. It seems like the whole show is just filled with these people who are bizarrely, like, they're talented and they're capable, but they're also somehow incredibly childish and immature to the point where they can't sort out their emotions in a remotely healthy way, like any other adult. So many characters are just angry or revenged focused. Even if they have the skills to be incredibly successful outside of crime, they're so powerful, yet their motivations are so petty and pathetic. Mike especially, like Mike in Breaking Bad, is portrayed as a pretty down-to-earth guy, kind of like a wise old man. And we're supposed to see him as wise. But in this show, we're still supposed to see him in the same way, because the show's only included Mike due to fucking blatant fan service, since he's the most Mary Sue character in the series. The strongest, most talented guy on the planet, ultimate wisdom and focus, etc. Yet somehow, this wise old man cannot find any more mature ways to deal with his emotions than doing this shit. That's pathetic. Gus, Jimmy, Mike, Kim, Chuck, all these fucking manlets, these stupid little man children, all their whining and fucking crying. Like, cry me a fucking river. What do you people even live for? What do you do for fun? What is any of this shit even for? All of these wisdomous, intelligent, crime lord badasses, and they all have the emotional maturity of fucking toddlers. Somehow none of them can deal with their emotions in the way that 99.9% of the human race can. They're all fucking idiots, losers, dipshits, man-children. Worse, they're all pathetic man-children, but the show tries to pretend like their concerns are serious and human, and it's a real study into the human soul and experience or whatever, and not just people dealing with first-world problems in pathetic, whiny, inhuman ways, where they feel the need to commit several felonies because, oh, I'm kind of feeling a little bored of my job, I guess. Any normal person can just live a regular life. These people are not Walter. Walter White had real conflicts that he had to actually overcome, unlike these people. He had cancer, a daughter that was on the way, bills he struggled to pay. He wasn't going to be around long enough to support his family. He had actual financial problems that were greater than normal everyday life and warranted more extreme action to solve them. Jimmy and every other fucking moron on this show have no real problems. They are successful people. They are talented people. Well, they could easily be successful in most circumstances. They have people in their lives that, like, care about them and shit. Like, they don't have... But they just make problems for themselves. For no reason. Jimmy, countless times throughout this entire series, he is in a position where he has no problems. Genuinely zero problems that normal people don't face every day, and yet he refuses to be a human being. Kim, for most of the series, she could just have a normal career and live a happy life. She is incredibly talented, connected, hardworking, skilled, attractive young woman who could do genuinely anything she wants to, and she just chooses to take her life down the shitter with stupid fucking choices. Does she not have, like, friends? Is Jimmy the only person she knows in her entire life? Like, a friendly, skilled lawyer like her, and she has no other friends or family? It's not hard to just be a normal person. Real people in the real world have real problems. Physical, financial, mental. They are much worse off than these whiny little bitches have it. And yet you're the ones who feel like you have to break all the rules and do all this psychopathic shit, and we're supposed to perceive this as like a fascinating character study and something relatable. You can count the characters that are kind of tolerable on one hand. Huel, Howard, Lalo, Paige, maybe Nacho, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a problem with, like, Kevin, Wachtel, or anything. Although, Nacho is still in the wrong in the first place for being involved in this shit at all. He's stupid for fucking over all of his bosses and thinking that nothing bad would come for that, and he's just, like, a generally boring character to watch. So, every scene that's trying to be all, like, tactful and implicative with its characters just actively bores me. I can't feel anything towards it because the character is very formless and badly written. None of these characters have any backbone to them. None of them have some deep, complex through line to them. They all just do whatever the next stupid conflict is. Like, the script will plop out some shallow excuse for why they do something insane and that's supposed to be dramatic, and we're supposed to see it as, like, a deep human drama. Again, recall, these are not, like, difficult choices the characters are faced with. Their characters will take ordinary situations and then create a big problem. Break the law over nothing. Create a huge, meaningless conflict. You know, think about it. You know Jimmy altering Mesa Verde files, doctoring them in Season 2? And, like, around the middle of Season 2, I think that was? That single choice of him choosing to doctor the Mesa Verde files to get Mesa Verde to go with Kim instead, that single choice that he made to do that was the excuse for the entire next 2.5 seasons of conflict. Yes, that happened in the middle of Season 2, so the show was only 1.5 seasons long at that point, and he just did one choice in one episode that led to the next 2.5 seasons. That it led to the trial against Chuck, which led to him being disbarred, which didn't get resolved until the very end of Season 4. 2.5 fucking seasons of a show that was only 1.5 seasons long by that point. More than the entire show up to then, based off of a single baffling choice Jimmy made just to break the law out of nowhere, because he kind of thought maybe Kim, you know, kind of deserved to get her big client now, I guess, and, like, it'd be kind of cool, you know? Fucking ludicrous. Why does Kim get involved with Lalo? Why does Bagman happen? Everything that follows? Well, Jimmy just wanted $100,000. For what purpose? Just more money, I guess? The whole show, everything you're watching can be tied back to a decision that a character made that was insane, like borderline completely unjustified that no human being would choose to do under those circumstances, and that led you 95% of what you're watching. It's all such obvious bullshit. It's just so clear that the whole show is based on nothing. Just making up conflicts to stretch out where a show where clearly none should exist. And like I said, it's not a character study. It's not about the mental condition of Jimmy to do something so delusional and insane like that. There is no excuse. It just uses excuses to make things happen. Like, oh, well, Jimmy has, mental problems. Jimmy doesn't care about the rules. Oh, he's an impulsive guy. Whatever psychopath logic they come up with. It's not like a show like BoJack that explores real-ass mental factors that contribute to his human, understandable self-destructive choices. This show just uses affectations of mental health as a shallow 2-second excuse to create the conflicts that the show will follow. The show has nothing to say about mental health and well-being. It has nothing complex or interesting to say about Jimmy's mental condition. If you think about it, please, put it next to a real character study like BoJack Horseman and tell me explain it to me step by step, the messaging, how this show is breaking down Jimmy's mental state, how it tells you something about real life, humanity, that isn't just like made up bullshit that like a Redditor came up with in their fucking shit-stained underwear. Like a fucking, like those fucking Redditor armchair psychologists like making up fucking human motivations and how the human mind works and makes decisions. That's what the show is like. Howard is the only sane human being. Jimmy never addresses any of his underlying problems, so the character study never goes anywhere. It's just the same thing again. He has an itch to break the rules and get what he wants, and also sometimes he has ego problems, whatever. It never gets any more interesting than that. He never, he never examines his underlying problems, so they never change at all. He just gets more and more unlikable without that characterization developing in any way. Imagine getting therapy from like a CW show screenwriter, or getting life advice from a 16-year-old on Twitter with an anime profile pic, who will try to like psychoanalyze you and tell you about all your deep-seated traumas and about all your feelings of guilt and self-sabotage and how they inform your decisions. It feels fake and disingenuous like that. Like someone with no idea what they're talking about just looks at a human being and just makes up fantasy shit about how they would act and make realistic choices about what deep shit is going on in their heads. And then just like soap opera shit comes out of the characters making stupid choices, obnoxiously lying to each other, and then being disappointed all the fucking time, and just constantly wearing boring-ass frowny faces and just moping around obnoxiously. Man, like, the 74th time I watched the exact same thing is somehow even better than the 73rd time I saw the exact same thing. Thank you, Better Call Saul.